Hi, I'm Luli Batoni from Trophy Developers Uganda. We design websites, mobile applications with digital marketing strategies that drive results for your business to grow. Right now we are talking about how to optimize your website structure.
It is important to prepare the foundation that these efforts will rest on. The first step in this process is to evaluate the overall structure of your website. The structure includes things like how a user navigates the site, the way the URLs are written,
and how many clicks it takes to arrive at some of your important content. The structure is important because it is the roadmap a search engine like Google will use when it crawls your website and ranks your web pages. Google needs to understand what content is most important to your users and how you organize that information and what additional signals you provided. Let's take a closer look at site structures and URL conversions. So a site structure can be flat or deep. Now, every website that has more than one page uses some structure for organizing all of that content. Typically, sites organize content into groups or categories. Now, how you decide to group your site will dramatically impact how it works, both for users and for the search engines. The less clicks a user has to make to get to the important content, the better. The closer your content to your homepage, the more value it is going to receive. And also on that note, the better the category that the page is in, the more contextual value that the subpage will receive as well. So to help you understand this, let's take a look at a flat hierarchy. So here at the very top we would have our homepage and the links below that represented by the second line would have our sub navigation, and here these pages might be things like about us, services, locations, and our contact info. And if we had, for example, multiple locations, we would then place those in the third row under the locations heading or the locations page. A deep structure looks more like this. As you see, some content is buried deep within the site. This means a user has to click more times to arrive at that content. This also means that Google has to travel further through your sitemap to index the content. And the further Google goes, the less value it is applying to each page, right? So it simply sees the pages at the bottom further away from your homepage as less important. One other thing that's really important is to pay attention to the idea of siloed content. In this sitemap, you will see I have a page over here on the right. It's not receiving a link from the homepage or any page for that matter. This suggests to Google, if it can even find it, that is really not important to you. So if you are building content around a particular service and you want to have a landing page for that, it's really important that it's linked to from some section of your site, as proposed from being its own silo. Now, the expectation to every rule. In some situations, there are simply too many categories to show them all at one level. And in other cases, showing some topics too soon might confuse your audience. It might be better to have some intermediate category pages to help provide context. So, the next thing I want us to look at is URL naming conventions. Just as your website structure is important, so too is how you name your URLs. The best strategy is to design your URLs for your users. Easy to understand and easy to remember URLs are key. So what I'm going to do now is to pull out an example from a website called AfroHod. This site was developed by Trophy Developers Uganda. AfroHod sells African clothing prints to USA, China, Germany. Here on their site, we have the primary navigation. I'm going to click onto shop to give you a good example of what's pretty common, but we can do better. At the top of the screen in the browser address bar, we can look at the URL they provided. And here we have afrohod.com/shop. First, you can see it doesn't have extensions such as .html and .php. This is good usability for your users, and it's going to allow better navigation of your categories, which I will show you later in a minute, but it's easy to remember and return to later. So this URL might be better as afroho.com/afro-print-clothing-shop. So first, in this case, best practices suggest not using underscores in your URLs. An underscore doesn't explicitly indicate, fully indicate to Google that these are separate words. A hyphen is really a way to go. A hyphen will indicate that these are each unique terms. We can also make this better by adding some location context, but we don't need to overdo it. It's always a good idea not to force keywords where they don't belong, because Google is wise to that. So keep it natural and relevant. I encourage you to focus on building a clear structure as flat as it makes sense for your brand, and then build a simple but descriptive URL that feature only nice folder structures and include the keywords you want your business to rank. And that can be done by making a keyword strategy for your brand. Subscribe, like, comment. We love to hear from you.